As a teenager growing up in Western Canada, I was immensely impressed by Mr. Pearson. John Diefenbaker was the Prime Minister. He had a huge majority. Everybody I knew were all conservatives. As a young person, I had to hide under my desk in case of a nuclear attack. But Mr. Pearson had won the Nobel Peace Prize on foreign policy and peacekeeping. So the fact that we had a man who was so devoted to peace and foreign policy and had been recognized by the world to do it, I was very attracted to the vision that Mr. Pearson had of the country, of Canada that would be active in peacekeeping and trying to make a better world. So I became very active as a young person, joining political clubs at university, in the Liberal Party. And through the Liberal Party, I met Mr. Trudeau. He was then Pierre Trudeau. He wasn't Prime Minister, he was an MP. And I went to work for some ministers in Ottawa, then did some work with Mr. Trudeau on campaigns, and then he offered me a job to join his office, and I stayed with him. In Canada, or perhaps in most democracies, people think, well, what can I do to change? How can I change the system? The system's so big. I mean, what can we really do? Well, I often tell them, Mr. Trudeau, as an academic, began to write on the need for a charter. When Pierre Trudeau and his friends began to talk about the charters, there were 3 or 4 of them in a basement. Then they decided eventually to run for Parliament. And then when they ran for Parliament, they became ministers. And when an opening occurred, he became Prime Minister. But he came in with an agenda. He had an idea. Canada is a tolerant place. Our record is better than most. But there have also been enough abuses in our history where the concept of rights had to be better protected. The need to better protect the right of Canadians was thought to be, by Mr. Trudeau and many others, an important priority. So this idea of his was not something that he came to as Prime Minister. This was the reason why he came into politics, to try to get this important change achieved. I think he would be enormously pleased and gratified by what has occurred. The Charter has become an absolute essential instrument of every lawyer's toolkit. I, for one, who was part of the Charter, I've been gratified, delighted on the evolution of the judicial role in Canada. And were he with us today, Mr. Trudeau would be too.